Alright, the goal here is to basically put together a Star Wars opening credit crawl. Hopefully it won't take too long to get everything done, but getting things started quickly. Firstly, I'll activate the screen key so you can see what I'm doing as I do it, because I don't really want to be talking through every single key combination I do. So getting rid of the cube, I'm just simply going to add a piece of text. This piece of text has font modifiers here on the side, which is otherwise known as object data, but it allows us to modify what the text looks like. In this case, I'm going to make sure it's centered because that works better with the Star Wars opening credit crawl. I forgot to actually get the Star Wars text before I get started, so I'm just going to pause for a second and I'll get to it and get back to you. So, a simple cut and paste from a website, and now I'm ready to put this text in. So I'm going to switch to edit mode, delete the old text, and Control V to paste in the new text. And here we are, A New Hope. That is now done, so I can switch back to object mode and start working on this text. So here, the setup is pretty simple. We're going to add in some geometry to the text to make it look a little more interesting. So basically extruding it out, and so you can see here from the side, a little bit extruded, just enough to give it a bit of shape. Now there are other features in here. I suggest you go have a look at them. The bevel depth gives it smoother corner edges on it, but for this example we don't need it. Although, noting what happened with some of the sharper edged characters, maybe it's an idea. But it does tend to bulk things up a little, so we'll see how it goes. I might change it later. Now that the text is set up the way I want, I need to actually add a material to it so it actually appears to look good. So here I've just added the standard principle shader by just clicking add. And what I'm going to do is change it from the base color to a yellow. And give it a bit of an emission as well. So the emission is currently black. We want to push that up and so that it is also yellow. And that should be enough. Now, this is then set up where we need it. Hopefully the material is sufficient. We're going to cut this animation cycle down to say 100 frames, something nice and short to keep it snappy. And really all I need to do, and I'll look from above, so view top, is I'm going to lock in this initial keyframe, I to insert a keyframe, just the location in this case, because I may need to do some adjustments later on. Use the timeline to jump along, grab it in the Y direction and slide it up into the distance. Then I can lock in that as the final location for the keyframe, and if I test it, it does its thing. Wonderful. Now, I need to make sure that this locks into what the camera can see. So here I can grab the camera, I can look through it with a view camera, and you can see really bad camera angle. So switching back to the top view, and I really wish I had a keyboard with a numpad on it, because this will make the key presses so much quicker. I need to actually then reposition this camera. So I've got the camera selected. I'm going to go into the camera's data and the transforms. I'm going to just basically zero out most of these and look at where this camera is positioned. So coming in from the side, you can see it's pointing straight down. So if I slide it along on the X rotation, to about probably 75 degrees at a guess, yeah, that might work. Maybe pull it back to 60 or some thereabouts, close enough. And then basically just pop it up. Then when we look through this camera again, we should be able to see nothing. Perfect. Now the easiest way to actually work all of this with one thing going on is with the quad view, which is Control-Alt-Q. I've got the camera, I've got my top orthographic, front orthographic, and right orthographic, so that way I can select my object and reposition my camera appropriately above it. So grabbing that and just pulling that back so it's just out of shot. Then when I play, it comes into shot as a nice little timing distance. Might need to reposition this size-wise, so I'm moving sort of here. I want to basically stop it clipping and I want it to come in on this bottom edge only. So scaling it down so it fits, and I'm using my little grid reference here to basically guide it through. So if I then play it into the distance, etc., etc. Done. And that is basically the opening credit call for Star Wars, done in about 4.5 minutes, or maybe longer. Now, the other things we might need to do is modify this text so it's got a bit more pizzazz to it. So I'll change out of quad view and basically get back to my text. Now you can see here it looks pretty blur, so if I switch to the rendered view, hopefully that will improve it. Click off and it's got that kind of yellow effect to it. Want to change the background as well. Now from the world settings we have a background color of blur. We'll just change it from middle grey to dark, and that should give us everything we need. Now obviously we can add in other stuff to make it more spacey, but that's getting a bit beyond what I want to cover here. This is really just to give you an infographic introduction, and that should then play through. So if we hit play and view it from the actual camera, you can see it disappearing off into the distance. Now there's one more thing that we can do with this, and that frame running is way too long, is I'm going to move the frameage out a little bit, because this current setup, we want this frame and this frame to, that end frame's fine, this starting frame, I would like to move it along a little bit, and I've just discovered how this works. Beautiful. So the first second, I want something to pop up in here, says Star Wars and that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop for a little bit, grab the resource I need. So I've just grabbed the Star Wars thing. I can drop it in the middle of our camera shot here, and hopefully this will work. It has other times when I've done this sort of stuff, and not a hope in anywhere. Alright, so ideally I'd want to drop up some text in front of the camera, have it pan in, pan out. So what I'm going to use as a surrogate for this is just simply a cube. So somewhere in front of that camera I'm going to add a meshed cube. This is basically just an object so that when I look through the camera I can see where it should be. You can then design a far more superior logo or something that makes it far more interesting. So in frame 5 here, that's perfect. I'm just going to insert the location. In frame 4, I'm going to grab this object and slide it completely out of shot and insert that location so that basically it pops into frame. Then once this starts going out, I will then insert frame 20, location, and that should be it. And then of course frame 21, I will grab it and make it disappear again by sliding it out of frame. And that's pretty much it for this one. So you can see here, if I hit play, pop, gone, credits roll in. And that's pretty much it, although that's pretty fast and glitchy, but hey, not much can be helped at this stage because it's only really a demonstration. Thank you for your time.